Mr. Brett, could you lead us in the invocation? If we could stand.
Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be here together this morning. Thank you for our health. Give us the wisdom to make the decisions to help us move forward. Give us peace to know that those decisions are good decisions. Help us to continue to focus on today, knowing that the decisions that we make today are going to impact the lives of so many tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. We thank you for the peace that you give us every day. In your heavenly name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Law, preliminary matters.
We have a resolution, Mr. Chairman. Anna Maria Hausdorff. There she is. Wow. Anna Maria Hausdorff began her career as a library technician at the St. Petersburg Gibbs Campus Library, St. Petersburg College in 1991. And whereas Ms. Hausdorff spent 2 years working in circulation before becoming a library technician for the acquisitions department, and whereas Ms. Hausdorff helped the library through many stages of modernization and transition, from a card cataloging system to a computer cataloging system, from a campus library to a joint use library, from a library department to a library with learning resources. And whereas Ms. Hausdorff is known to be a dedicated library technician, always willing to give her best to students, patrons, and the college, she has devoted her life to her work and the care of her parents, children, and grandchildren. And whereas Ms. Hausdorff has a kind and giving character, we wish her happiness in her retirement as she travels, enjoys leisure activities, spends time with her family and loved ones, and volunteers her time. Now therefore be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions to the college and to the community by Anna Maria Hausdorff, and extend to her our best wishes for enjoyment through the years ahead. Said resolution adopted and approved by the Board of Trustees, St. Petersburg College, 19th day of February 2013. Hear, hear.
I just want to say I'm just so proud to have worked for the college. I've always loved it here. And the people I work with in the library are just wonderful, especially at the Gibbs campus. Thank you. Thank you.
Board comments. I guess I'll start if that's okay. Mr. Gibbons is not here. I had the chance to spend the majority of the time last week with him in Washington at the legislative conference. I thought it was productive, visiting all our legislatures, but Pell Grants was the theme. That's the biggest concern that's happening in Washington. That's what they gave us all pins and sent us up to Capitol Hill to talk about Pell Grants. So that is probably the only concern that we went away from that week. I also know Mr. Gibbons is battling some health, so if you could keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He is battling some health issues, which is maybe one of the reasons he's not with us today. So, Mr. Brett?
Only comment I would have would be to thank Dr. Nicotera and his staff for being our host here today. I know it's not an easy task to welcome a big group like this, and appreciate your hospitality. Thank you.
I'd second Mr. Brett's comments about the host for the meeting today. This is just my second board meeting, but as I kind of work my way around the system, and I think it's good for me to kind of have the opportunity to move from campus to campus for these type meetings, and we certainly appreciate you hosting it today.
Dr. Law?
Yes, I have 2 or 3 items, if you would. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just, Tara, if you would take that. And one of the things that just crossed my desk yesterday was from Vice President Cooper, the 6th Annual Honors College, our research conference. This is pretty impressive work on the part of our students. So this honors colloquium and this entire conference that we support, you see the really sophisticated kinds of academic study that our students participate in across the range of the college. You know, so often we spend our time, and rightfully so, working with the students who are at the neediest end of the academic spectrum. And I think it's always worthwhile to make sure that we recognize it's a long spectrum, and we have students at the power end of the spectrum too, students who are very self-directed, students who are very capable in ways that they challenge us to keep ahead of them. So the Honors Forum is something that we hold annually, and congratulations to Dr. Cooper and her academic leadership team. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I have a couple of housekeeping issues. I want to be sure that I alert the board, as we just are so proud of the new facility that we have on the Clearwater campus, the Ethics Social Science Building, and it's a fabulous facility and it's meeting our needs. We have as sometimes happens, we have an annoying and troubling issue with the elevator. It is not functioning at the level we need it to function, and there's only one elevator in a 3-story building. So when it doesn't work, it is a very stressful time for students with disabilities, for some of our students to get to the 2nd, 3rd floor. Dr. Duncan and Dr. Vitito are on top of it with our builders. You know, elevators, like a lot of things in life, we've made them more sophisticated, and now there's more things that can go wrong, I guess is the kind way to say it. We're working with the builders. We're working with the contractors. We've got the highest level of support that we can from the elevator company. If you hear students fussing about it, they come to their fussing legitimately, and we're working with them. We've managed to work around it, but we need to solve the problem, and we're on it. I just want you to hear it from me that it is not going, it's on our front burner. Relatedly, I want to give you a similar kind of assurance. I'm always happy that, happy sad moment, we lost a very key member of our leadership staff, our Director of Information Technology, Daya Prendahar, and he took a promotion across the Bay, and we are proud for him. We are in the process of replacing him. I'm very, I want to alert you though, we're probably going to use a consultant or headhunter support. That this is a very sophisticated market to get people at the kind of strategic leadership level we need at the IT level. So we'll do the normal range of advertising and use our networks, but if this college is going to continue to move forward, we need to make sure we find a worthy replacement. We're working on an interim plan. People are stepping up. We're very pleased with that. We expect it'll be about July 1st before we have a replacement named. It'll take us a couple of months to get this done. But again, I want you to know we're on top of it. And then lastly, I wanted to alert the board, I guess ask for, unless you have some concerns, a very nice opportunity was presented to me last week. And I've been invited onto the Board of Leadership Florida, and also then to be the person responsible for organizing the leadership class for next year. And while it is a little bit of a commitment, they staff it strongly. it's a wonderful opportunity for our college to re-engage with civic leaders at all levels across the state over the September to May period. So I will manage that with the help of my staff. I think it's a really nice opportunity. It's a nice opportunity for me. I enjoy doing it, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to be back in a leadership role. So,
Absolutely.
Dr. Law, I think that's a huge opportunity and a huge credit to you as a graduate or an attendee of Leadership Florida Class of 25. You know, it gives an opportunity for you to be seen throughout the state by a lot of very key people. Usually the people that attend this are legislative leaders, politicians, a lot of lobbyists are in that group. So I think it's a circle of folks that will certainly be of a benefit for us to know and have a relationship with. So,
good. Thank you.
very good.
I think it ends up being 5 weekends over the course of the year, so that's what it is. But anyway, I want you to hear, I'm very, very pleased with that. Excuse me, I have some more structural stuff under the President's report later in the agenda, but those were preliminary matters. Thank you, sir.
Okay. We'll take up the review, the minutes. Do we have a motion?
Move approval, please.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes pass. Mr. Lang?
I have no report for today, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Gardner?
I have no report for today. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Gordon? Good morning.
Morning. Members of the board, Dr. Law. This morning, I simply want to present some data relative to our downtown and midtown campuses. Last month, you got to hear about the increase in our student success rate of 4 percentage points from 64% to 68%. What I want to do is just kind of walk you through how we got there. In the fall term, we set several goals for the campus for the fall. And one was to increase our success rate by 4%, and the other was to look at our lowest achieving course and see if we could improve that by 10%. So those were the goals that we set. The results, which you see right there at the bottom, is our success rate increased from 64.8% to 68.2%, and that class increased from 36.6% to 47.3%. So we're clearly focusing on the areas that we deem to need the most improvement and putting some efforts there. The graph that you see over on the right is a comparison of enrollment from last spring to this spring. Last spring it was 2739, and this spring it's up to 2821, which is a 3% increase. So we're really excited about that. I'd like to think that some of our efforts through our Midtown Open House that we had last semester, and we did some door-to-door campaigning, doing some door hangers, kind of helped with that. And we're also excited about the upcoming SPC week, where we'll be doing some more marketing and inviting folks in to see about the downtown, what we have to offer, as well as the rest of the college that week. Thank you. Any questions? Yes?
The open house you mentioned?
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about that. What kind of a turnout?
We actually had about 50 or so students to show up. We, along with enrollment management, went out into the Midtown community and did door hangers and stuff the week before to invite the community in to the Midtown campus. We set up shop, had lots of different departments there to meet with folks that were interested in coming to the college. And so we actually had about 50 or so people during the course of that day, which was from about 2 to 7. Nice little span of time there.
What day of the week?
It was on a Thursday.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Sir. Ms. Phoenix?
I think you skipped, Kim Hartman is our Dean
Oh.
of Education, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Good morning.
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 We're very proud of the College of Education. Since its inception, the college has produced over 1,700 teachers, most of whom have remained locally. Teachers have a good reputation. In the fall, our final interns did a great job, and principals requested that 19 of those final interns be released early so they could take full-time teaching positions. We have a new degree, relatively new, that's pre-K through third grade. This is an area that is expected to grow very rapidly in Pinellas County, particularly in the area of pre-K. So we are excited that we will have people prepared to take those jobs. Florida, like many other states, is making significant changes to the K-12 curriculum, moving to use Common Core state standards. The exciting part of this is that as we work with K-12 students, it will prepare those graduates to be far better prepared for college and career readiness. So we as College of Ed are going to have a very active role in preparing our own graduates. And we have opportunities this summer to work with many teachers to do some training in partnership with Pinellas County Schools for current teachers and future teachers. In the College of Ed, we are quite committed to student success. Our internal survey recently shows that our faculty spend an average of 207 hours a month in out-of-class support. This is in addition to their office hours and in addition to their advising. We are also interested in making sure our students have an international perspective, and in November, 10 of our students traveled to Jamaica to work in Jamaican schools. This was quite successful. The group invited them to come back, so we have another group of students and faculty who will return next November. Any questions?
I have a question.
Certainly.
The out-of-class support, can you give me some like examples of what that would be?
Sure. Our teachers have to take certain state exams in order to become licensed, so we do a lot of preparation, particularly in the math area, but in preparing them to take the math and reading portions of that. And then before they graduate, they take subject area exams, so we've also done a lot of work in making sure they are prepared for those. If students have any struggles in classes, our faculty have been dedicated to making sure they're successful and that they're ready to graduate, so we spend any time needed outside of class to make sure they are ready to teach.
And how does the intern program work? Does everybody, is it easy to get students, or teachers placed as interns?
It is. Our students are out in the field doing field experience hours from the first class they take in the College of Education. So we have a very strong partnership with the local schools, and we have principals who invite our graduates. They want them in the classroom. They enjoy having them there. So we have had no trouble placing our students.
And then upon graduation, what's the percentage that can walk right into a job?
In the fall, we had 86% of our students who are now employed, and usually by August, we have, with the graduates who finish in the May, it's in the 90s, 90% who are employed.
And any idea on what percentage of those stay local?
I can find that out, but the most recent I have is about 76, 77%.
Pinellas County?
Stay in Pinellas and are the surrounding counties, but the majority are in Pinellas County.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Question, yes. Mr. Brett asked a couple, thank you, that I was going to ask. But as far as enrollment at the College of Education, is it up or down or pretty steady year to year?
We are seeing a slight decline in enrollment. In the past couple of years, there has been a decline, so we are working steadily to recruit, to get new teachers in the program.
Okay, and on the study abroad trips, when I guess there's a selection process that you have to choose who goes, or is it more voluntary? Can anyone go on that who wants to go, or?
We have, the company we work with has allowed us to have 10 to 12 slots. So we have students who want to go. If we don't have more than that, they all go. If we do, we have a process where we try to have representatives from each of the 3 campuses where we have our teacher education program, and then we give first priority to those who will be graduating the soonest.
Okay, and when they're in, for example, Jamaica, are they actively participating in the classroom activities, or are they more of an observer?
They are actually teaching, and they are leading the classes often. We had a request for one of our students who did such a good job, together with a group of teachers, to actually teach those teachers how to teach. And it was one of our seniors who was able to do that.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I'd just like to highlight for the board that third bullet there, the College of Education and the teacher ed for pre-K third grade. Stay tuned for a pretty big announcement between the school district, the Juvenile Welfare Board, and ourselves regarding pre-K education components. The Juvenile Welfare Board and Superintendent Grego is very, very purposeful on all this. We intend to create essentially a demonstration school adjacent to our Midtown campus, and then one in the Clearwater, I keep forget what we call that. Kings Highway area, to really focus on the enhanced training for pre-K teachers. The school district is very concerned that now it has the Head Start program and some other kinds of initiatives. Juvenile Welfare Board, it's their highest priority is to use their discretionary dollars to foster preparatory education. So the three of us working together, I think in April we will be back here with an sort of a joint operation for the three of us, but watch for it to happen. Mike Grego is giving tremendous good leadership to this issue, and he is a strong, strong supporter of our teacher ed program. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Now, Ms. Phoenix.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
Good morning. Good.
Good. As we move forward with our initiative to promote the college's mission and to transform and empower our employees, we're excited to announce that we've had the rollout of the spring training sessions that we've been announcing off and on over the past few months. Part of that is a Phase 1 initiative to promote professional development amongst all of our career service staff. So the initial spring training sessions provide 6 professional training units in the areas of core competencies that have been defined by the college. So we're looking at interpersonal effectiveness, leadership, job-specific training, and some sort of technical or technology-related professional development for our career service staff employees. Those courses will be offered face-to-face or online through a new system that we have that we've been developing with HR, which is the Skillport software, which would also provide a record of all of the employees' professional development and give them the availability of using it similar to a transcript to record their efforts and to continually professional develop. This is a simple precursor to a phase 2 training in which we'll recommend roughly 24 units of professional development per fiscal year for all career service employees. And we're going to move that into, tying that into the annual evaluation, our career pathing efforts, and some of the organizational goals of St. Petersburg College. So currently, in the month of February, we've held information sessions every Friday, and that has been instrumental in registering 286 employees so far in the Skillport system who have actually completed 1.5 of the 6 units that we're suggesting that they complete during spring training. In addition to that, we have had a total attendance outcome of 344 employees, and we have more sessions that we're offering at the end of this week to try and boost those numbers up even further. So do we have any questions?
No, none for me.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right.
Very nice initiative.
Moving on to old business, Tarpon Springs campus, 6A, the land sale agreement. We talked about this last time. Any further questions or discussions?
I have maybe one, just to follow up on a brief discussion we had last time about the contract and anything firmed up with. I know there were some things that we had talked with them about doing related to water runoff and things like that. And then Mr. Gibbons brought up the issue of right of first refusal if the project doesn't go.
Let's take the right of first refusal. That one ended up being, Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, that one's a little more complicated. We talked about it with them. The development company who is buying the land, it is going to be a land lease to the Wawa
Okay.
chain. They already have first right of refusal to purchase the property in the future. So beyond that, then it gets really complicated. But with the success of that chain, I don't anticipate them having that problem in the future as far as, going out of business. But we were able, one of the other item that you mentioned was being able to incorporate the details of the campus enhancements into the agreement, which we've done, and I've highlighted some of the major areas. As you just recall, the purchase price was $400,000. We did get a more detailed, like a survey of the land, and it's actually a little bit less than what we were showing. It's about 0.8 acres. There were also some seller costs that were in the original agreement, and we were able to get those taken out of the agreement, and they are now buyer issues, including the commissions paid. So that saved us some money there. We incorporated into the agreement the $250,000 for the additional parking, and in addition, they agreed to remodel or make enhancements to the entrance off Klosterman Road. And according to our standards, they understand that. We've had our folks looking at that and working with them. The little different piece that we were able to get in is that in the event we don't, during the time frame of their developing the land, if we choose at that point not to go ahead with the improvements to the entrance, they've agreed to just give us the $100,000, the additional $100,000 to do it ourselves at a later date if we so choose.
I think we would have to buy out their option to get right of first refusal, and that was kind of, we're okay with this, is my recommendation.
Okay. Any other discussions, questions? Have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second old business, the construction manager for the Midtown Center. Is someone going to speak to us, or?
Yes,
is that you?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I want the visual effect to kick in first, okay? We want to do this in a framework of celebration, I think. We are here today to recommend to you Gilbane Building Company as the construction manager at risk for this project. We have been through a very highly orchestrated process. Let me take a second. A member of the community, remember each member of the board nominated a community leader to be part of the process for selection and winnowing the list of contractors. Liz Sembler, a civic leader of the highest order, and not only did she participate, she ended up having to step in and chair the group, and did a phenomenal job keeping it on track and on time. And I'm sure we would not be where the lights dim at the mention of her name. But the committee did really work. There are a couple things, because it's always a complex issue. But I want to tell you that the process that we use is very carefully documented. It has been through an audit process to confirm its viability. It's all by the numbers. The president, I invested an hour interviewing each of the three highest rated groups. I met with them in my office. We had a chance with Dr. Duncan. All three were very, very good companies. All three were more than capable. Congratulations to the board. They all clearly received the message that we want this to have a beneficial community impact, so they got that. I will tell you, though, in the end, Gilbane, in the meeting with us, said, we want to make sure you understand that we understand. We would propose that a third of our fee be put at risk if we don't meet the 30% participation guideline. And I thought that was a very good signal on their part. I think it is something we can go back to the community to say everybody's got something in the game here as we go forward with this project. Let me say that Gilbane has a long-standing process for developing subcontractors and for bringing them along, so that not only will we spend millions of dollars in the local community, but we believe we'll have stronger minority, small contractor and support firms when the process is over. So, members of the board, I think we have delivered ourselves to a really good spot. Your work to not let us slide by on the design features is now you see your work in front of you. The work of the staff to bring you a recommendation that can stand the scrutiny in our community is there. And thirdly, I think we've changed the way business gets done in South St. Pete with the contractor at risk having some skin in the game for the nature of the follow-through. So I enthusiastically recommend Gilbane Building Company to you.
Comments?
Dr. Law, this added feature of skin in the game, as you mentioned, do we have or any type of a metric that we can rely on to ensure that we are measuring that performance? I suspect that this added feature in this contract is something that's relatively new to the college?
It is, yes, sir.
And so how are we going to ensure that those benchmarks are met?
We have, part of their offer and part of our engagement with them was to go ahead and identify how that calculation would be made as we go forward. So we already have a written agreement as to how we will calculate the local minority participation and to document the 30% level. Mr. Brett, they have already run it through their, these are sophisticated companies. They don't want to promise 35%, but that's the number they say that they can achieve based on their own internal analysis. But we have a written agreement with them pending the signing of this contract of how that 30% will be calculated, so there'll be no arguments downstream as to how that will work.
The only comment that I've got is this, the work on this predates my kind of history with the board here, and I'm going to have to trust kind of going into this and, besides what I've read kind of blindly, that everything has been followed. I had the same question Mr. Brett had about how do we calculate the 33 or 35% community minority participation, and I think as we go through that, we'll learn more about that and understand that better. But again, I'm kind of going into this through what I've read in the minutes and the documents that I have. So I'm going to have to trust that, like you say, Dr. Law, everything has been followed to the T in how they were selected.
Anything additional? Make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just want, Dr. Law, do you mind introducing the other people that served on the team? I know Ms. Sembler, the
Yeah,
board
I'm
owes a
gonna-
debt of gratitude for chairing it, but
stand
could
up
we
if you were
stand
on
up
the
so we
team.
can give them
Tanja,
applause? Because I know it was
Kevin did tremendous good work. Dr. Joe Leopold, those were the three members of my staff. Jim, there's Liz, Jim Wachter, some members of his staff were on there. And then what was the other community member's name? Yeah. Dr. Colquitt from the Johnny Ruth Clark Center was the other representative, and then one member stepped off after the process started.
Well,
So
I know it's a
they
long
put in-
time coming, so I'd like
Yeah,
to
well,
applaud them for all their hard work.
They did. Thank you.
Any other comments? No. New business? Dr. Cooper.
Good morning, members of the board, Mr. President. First, I want to say thank you for your approval to allow us to increase our faculty ranks and to move that process forward, because it has allowed us to attract some of the best of the best. And obviously, much of student success is facilitated by our faculty in what takes place in the classroom. We have just completed a process of reviewing 131 of our faculty whose contracts were up for renewal. This has been a very, very thorough process with our deans and program administrators, with myself as well as the president. We have reviewed each of these faculty in regards to their student surveys of instruction, and we have a sample for you in regards to that survey, so you can see the kinds of statements that our students reply to. And I also have a sample of the annual evaluation that we complete for faculty, just to give you some idea of the types of data that we're using. But this process is very thorough. We also look at grade distributions, student course success rates, the faculty members' participation in out-of-class support for students, their professional development. Our program administrators and deans do class observations. We look at their strengths as well as their teamwork within the discipline area, the campus, as well as the college, and then areas for improvement so that they can create their professional development plan. In regards to the sample survey of instruction that you have been provided with, this compares the faculty members' ratings in regards to each of the statements, not only with other faculty within their discipline, but also with other faculty on their campus and then with other faculty college-wide. So it gives them a good range of comparisons. What we hope that faculty will do is that they will use this data to then create goals for the coming year in regards to their professional development and changes that they might want to make or adjustments in their courses. So we're very proud of the work of our faculty. Many have come aboard and are, of course, motivated in regards to excellence in teaching and learning. As you know, we are facing new legislation in regards to full-time faculty contracts, and this will include the awards of continuing contract as well as post-award performance reviews. The criteria that have been set out in this new legislation involve measured effectiveness in performance of duties, continuing professional development, currency and scope of subject matter knowledge, as well as relevant feedback from students, faculty, and employers of students, and service to the department, college, and community. Well, as you can see from what we're currently doing, we feel that we're in very good shape in regards to our assessment process and our awarding of continuing contracts. We may have to do a bit of tweaking, and one of the things that we've been looking at currently is that with our upper division or our baccalaureate faculty, they currently complete a portfolio as part of their continuing contract process. We are looking at having all faculty complete this process going forward. And so currently, our Center of Excellence for Teaching and Learning, along with our second-year faculty cohort, are piloting a project. And what they have done, based on research and some coordination and collaboration with our deans and program administrators, they have come up with a number of teaching competencies that they are now going to record data on themselves and create a portfolio. And so we are piloting this project currently. And so they are looking at things like instructional proficiency, which involves facilitating student learning, demonstrating mastery of their discipline and specific knowledge, participating in curriculum development, and employing varieties of technology and pedagogical styles. Professional development is could be their being part of an organizational membership in regards to their discipline, their own continuing education and scholarly activities, and community involvement. Assessment is essentially looking at the faculty members' ability to take data that they have about their classes and effectively use that to make changes and improvements in moving forward. Then student support services and resources, obviously being committed to student success, being part of our out-of-class support and ongoing course revision and improvements. Also their own professional service and contribution to the campus, the college, as well as their own department. And then we're also looking at interpersonal skills, their ability to collaborate, work on teams, being, of course, self-aware, altruistic, and conscientious, just to give you a few examples. What I'd like to now do is share some of the stellar examples of our new faculty and what they are doing above and beyond our expectations to support the college mission. First, I'd like to share Jackie Copeland. She's at the St. Petersburg Gibbs campus in mathematics. She is currently pursuing, in addition to her teaching responsibilities, her PhD in higher education and leadership, and she has proposed a study abroad in Greece that is looking at the cultural past and present revealed through statistics. So even math can do study abroad. We then have Tina March, who's at the St. Petersburg Gibbs campus in communications. She received an award for exceptional dedication to our veteran students. She not only serves as a volunteer tutor, 2 hours per week for student veterans, but she also serves another 2 hours per week in the Learning Support Center. We then have Floyd Butts. He's here at the Health Education Center with the College of Health Sciences. He created a health services student capstone orientation as well as an APA-style guide for those students, and he also held the lead role in organizing their fall adjunct faculty day and creating an adjunct handbook. We then have Andrea Kelly. She's at the Tarpon Springs campus with the College of Education. She chairs the College of Education Student Success Committee. She's an FGO representative for the Clearwater campus. She co-sponsors Phi Delta Kappa, which is the professional organization for education students. And she's also a Center of Excellence for Teaching and Learning board member. We then have Steve Sinclair, who's at the Seminole campus in humanities. He completed his PhD in theology and apologetics while teaching with us. He's also orchestrated an interfaith summit at the Seminole campus. It's now in its 3rd year. It's been very successful, and he also plays a lead role in our Men Achieving Excellence as the coordinator for the Seminole campus. We then have Randy Lightfoot at the Tarpon Springs campus in social science. He is the coordinator for Men Achieving Excellence at our Tarpon Springs campus. He mentors all new minority students at the Tarpon Springs campus by having a personal meeting with each of them and helping them, making sure that they have access to the various support mechanisms to ensure their success, and he serves as an advocate for St. Petersburg College at community organization meetings. We then have Daniel Schroeder at our downtown Midtown campus, who works in natural sciences. What he did is he saw that there were a number of students having to repeat his anatomy and physiology class, and so what he did is he implemented success contracts for these students to make sure that they understood what they needed to do to be able to achieve success in his courses. He has improved student success rates in the sciences, particularly within the minority population at our downtown and midtown campus. Finally, I have Adrian Tillman. He works at the Tarpon Springs campus in our College of Computer and Information Technology, and he was concerned that within our minority student population there wasn't enough interest in the computer and technology area. So he worked with his dean, and he travels down to the Midtown campus every week to teach a computer foundation course. He serves as a role model and builds interest in the computer and technology disciplines with our minority student population. These are just a few examples of our wonderful faculty, and I just wanted the opportunity, and I thank you for the opportunity in being able to share those with you today. Any questions?
Questions?
Any of these good folks with us this morning?
I don't think so.
This is really nice. And now I'm curious, Dr. Cooper, we have an amazing faculty. How do you go through and pick out these superstars? I'm sure there's a ton of them out there. I'd love to see a few of these every board meeting. This is very, very good. So what's the...
Well, my method this time was to ask my deans to please submit an example of one of their stellar new faculty. And that's how we got to where we were.
Okay, all right. Well,
Right, but you're right, there are many. And that's why we feel the portfolio process would be a much better way of documenting all of the wonderful things that our faculty do.
well, just, it's very nice. I've been here for a few years now, and I don't think we've had this type of highlighting of individual faculty, except for their retirements. And so this is very nice. I commend you for doing this and bringing this to us. It's nice to see faces with some of these great achievements, and I hope that you can bring us more in the future.
Thank you, we will.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, in lieu of the faculty, most of our deans are here, and they really do the heavy lifting. Could I ask the deans, is it appropriate if the deans stand up and let us just recognize their great effort and all of that? Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we need to move the continuing contract recommendations, and can I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Brings us down to grants, D1A and B. Any discussion on the grants?
Move approval.
Dr. Law, do you want to highlight the progress, the Progress Energy one, or any comments about either of them? They're pretty straightforward.
I was
Excuse me?
focused on the over 50 as
Oh.
the one that has caught my eye, okay. No, well, we have, I would very much hope we get this grant with Progress. It's really, could make a huge impact in the kinds of things we're doing with an aging facility and all of that. So just more good work from our staff. Jim Wachter, who you saw, is on top of this left and right, so good work.
And the two campuses, the Progress Energy, I read that one. Which two campuses were going to be impacted?
Seminole, Seminole and Clearwater, okay.
Seminole and Clearwater?
And the amount was $500,000, right? Yeah.
Right. Any comments? I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Down to E, maintenance, renovation, construction, the inspections.
I would move approval of E1.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. The acquisition of Midtown area properties. So was someone explaining?
Yes,
going
Mr.
in
Chairman,
that?
members of the board, I was a little embarrassed when we put it together, but back in August, you authorized us to move forward to work with the Housing Authority, who currently owns the facility we're using as our Midtown campus, and another sort of orphaned property across the street. It currently has a gymnasium. It took us a while to get updated appraisals that we were comfortable with, and then because the land is owned by HUD, you get sort of a pre-approval, and then it came back to us. Long and short is we finally got it all worked out. The price, we've negotiated it to the level of our comfort and their comfort. Eventually, HUD has to approve the deal, and we have preliminary approval that this is the appraised level, this is the level they would appraise it at. Mr. Oliver, and by background, as we continue to build on the Deuces, on the 22nd Street corridor, we know the facility we're in. We've already put several hundreds of thousands of dollars in that over the last few years, and I suspect we'll be looking for additional space very shortly after we opened the new facility, so we decided to keep what we had. We've already made the infrastructure improvements, and then the property across the way, because it was owned by the housing authority, we just had that as a throw-in. We'll probably use that space for parking or some other. We don't want the facility that's there now, but we're trying to make sure we're a good neighbor and that we sort of stabilize the environs close to our new facility. So that has been our proposal. Long way around the block, but I'm happy to make this presentation to you today. Both are good for us.
And funding, sir? How are we?
We had identified funding from our capital improvement fees, and Doug, what was the other half? About 600 was out of our student capital improvement fee.
Yeah, actually, the timing is good because at the time, we intended to possibly pay it totally out of our capital improvement fee reserve, which is just the cash that we've accumulated, carried forward. In the meantime, though, when we closed out the ethics and social science project, we had about a $600,000 surplus there, so we can take that and to really pay for about half of this.
So it's really just cash management right now. Okay.
I have a motion. Question.
Just a question, Dr. Law, and I know this is getting a little ahead of the game, but, and I support this.
Yeah.
We've had many discussions about this property. If you could script the future as our new Midtown campus is up and running, what do you see happening in this existing property? Is it too early to talk about that?
It's certainly, these are not plans, these are ideas. But my suspicion is we will find ourselves squeezed very quickly with kind of the ancillary and support services, the career centers, the counseling centers, things where we've got a footprint inside our building, but we could overrun it pretty quickly. What I would like to do is to keep the possibility of having good facilities where students may not have to get there every day, so that there's not a interday kind of flow where you got to go from this building to that building. But if you have to make a visit to the counseling center periodically, it's just a block and a half away, so it's not a big deal. So that would be one. Secondly, I mentioned the issue already with the teacher ed program. That could end up being a pretty big deal. We might end up housing that teacher ed program in part of this facility. Take a couple of the classrooms. The working plan is to develop the classroom, 1 or 2 cohorts of teachers, so we would be back up to about 24 to 48 teachers, and then use a local daycare provider as the demonstration school. So we've already got that plan in the works with the Greater Mount Zion Church right there. Everybody's signed off. So, Mr. Brett, I suspect it's when I'm being silly, I say, when Pat and I moved from a 1-bedroom apartment to a 2-bedroom apartment, we didn't have any more room in the closets. I mean, you end up filling up pretty quickly once you have space in which to offer things. So we need it for the next couple of years while we're building, and then after that, we'll make a plan.
The new Midtown campus, Mr. Oliver, for your benefit, as you well know, there's a lot of excitement, not only in St. Pete, but in the Midtown community for this campus. Right. And with the recent closing of the Sweet Bay market down there, this has upped the ante a little bit. And so, Dr. Law, would you want to share a little bit? You shared with me privately about your outreach to the folks at Sweet Bay.
Well, thank you for that opportunity. And I'm just going to brag on my staff. All of us would that news was not good news. And while we were processing through it, though, I come to learn that our staff had already organized itself and had gone down to meet with the management at Sweet Bay, and we've started counseling with the employees who will be dislocated there. So what are some career options? How can we get you on your feet very quickly? What does the college have to offer for some folks who are going to be, quite frankly, quite disruptive in their personal and work life? So we think that we've already identified a handful of folks who we can bring in, and we're going to use our good counseling. Even if they don't end up with us, they need counseling and support. So we've been, again, congratulations to my staff. Before I could ask them to do it, they had already been down there. So we'll let you know what the numbers look like, but that's the kind of work we would expect from a good college.
And I echo that congratulations. I think that kind of goes to the heart of the mission of what this institution is all about, reaching into our community and trying to provide a path forward. So I commend your staff, whoever those good folks are. So I would move approval of this item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Personnel report. Shall we-
Mr. Chairman, I don't think there's anything special on the personnel
Anything
report.
special?
I think we're in, I would just, if somebody will just move it, I think we're okay.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Finance.
Real quickly, looks very similar to what it did last month, actually. I want to point one thing out to you. Revenues, spring revenues down, you know that, but I wanted to take just 1 second and show you what's happening. If you look at last year at this time, we had received $1.3 million of our lottery funding from the state, and as at the point this report was run, well, and now, we had not received any lottery money. So that's really why the revenue is showing a little bit further down is simply that year-over-year fact. The other thing that compounds that is that since we had a large amount of our general, our state appropriation that was reallocated to lottery this year, you remember the lottery went from 8 to 10 million. So that 1.3 is now about 2 million that we normally would have received in January. So I expect we'll receive it in February. I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. Other than that, you can see our enrollment down. You would expect instructional costs to be down, and our adjunct cost is down about $1 million year to date. Health insurance is up about $1 million, so we expect that. We still have about an $8.5 million surplus, so we're in good shape. And I wanted to take just 1 minute to give you a little taste of something that we're going to be rolling.
I'm sorry, I
go
want to
ahead.
make sure we don't move on too fast. The delay in the lottery was not unanticipated. They told us to expect no payments before the first of the year. They front end all the bright futures out of lottery revenue is what happens.
Right.
So they commit those cash in, cash out. Those dollars first go to fund the bright futures, and then they feed the rest into general revenue. We are told that the money will be here. Now, we're okay on a cash flow basis though, right, Doug?
No,
We don't
we're
have
fine.
any issues. Okay, I just want, thank you.
Okay. Real quickly, I want to just give you a taste of something that we're going to be rolling out college-wide and also using at future board meetings to hopefully be able to drill down, give you a little more detail and answer more specific questions. You've already seen our business intelligence for our student system. Well, we've now got our financial business intelligence ready to go. And it's much better than a static spreadsheet that you look at each month. Just in opening up, it's showing you our college-wide revenue that I'll be able to drill down into whatever level that anybody wishes to see, to whatever. We can do the same on the expense side. We will be developing, and I can go back as many as 8 years. So we can go back back to 2008 and show you year-over-year data and show you trends and so on. We've right now, we've got just a trend chart showing you year over year. This is actually, this expense last year was when we transferred the money for the Midtown Center and the Clearwater, but this is our current. We will continue to develop dashboards, though, that we'll bring in and we'll standardize for the board meeting and be able to drill at whatever level. I can go down to the budget supervisor level. The other nice thing about this is that we can go look at any one of our funding sources in here. You're typically used to seeing the bulk of our budget is our unrestricted and lab fund, what our Fund 1 budget, but we can now look at any funding source. What you're seeing now is just the Fund 1. We can go by department, site, projects, any number of things. So it's going to be a really nice tool. We scheduled training for our budget supervisors, and this is going to be rolled out college-wide for them to be able to do a better job of managing their budgets and costs and so on. So we're looking forward to it.
We hope as we get later in the year and as we start putting together next year's budget, that we can support you in another level of board analysis. There's a level beyond which the board really, your interest should wane at a certain level. But as you ask questions about the dynamics of our budget and the interplay of it and where it goes, we want to be able to answer questions at a much different level than a single spreadsheet presented to you each month. So we'll grow the capacity with you as it unravels. We had to wait until the CPAs got off the board, Mr. Brett. We Doug, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marketing update?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Members of the board, Mr. President, it's been about a year since I was before you talking about our marketing, and I'm going to give you an update on a lot of our progress. We have launched the Within Reach campaign. You recall we brought to you last year. We've adjusted our media strategies. We've done all the things that you see here that we said we were going to do. Something else that we've done since I came to you last February is through the Offices of Institutional Effectiveness and Enrollment Management and Marketing, we identified what we just called our low-hanging fruit. These are markets that we know who they are and we know how to reach them. So we took extra efforts to reach those markets in our activities. In addition, in May, we hired a social media marketing specialist, Lisa Fisher, who's right here. And you can see that our numbers have continued to increase. The Facebook likes represent a 26% increase since June. The Twitter followers is more than 300% increase. Social media is very important. If we are not in this realm, we are making ourselves obsolete. This is how millions of people choose to inform themselves and choose to interact. It is used by billions of people, and it's not going to stop. So we have to provide content that social media users will pay attention to, and of course that they will share with other people. In addition, the TV station has merged with video services under Jeremy Peplow. And our website, we continue to refresh and update constantly. Something else that's not on here that I want to add is we have a pretty exciting feature called eBrochure. And that is you go online and you pick and choose what you're interested in at St. Petersburg College. You click a few buttons and a tailored, fully designed brochure is created for you. This is our advertising budget for this year. I want to thank you for your support last year for approving a budget that included an increase for us. The total shown here, there's about 30,000 more not represented on this pie chart, and that is by design. We have to remain nimble enough to make decisions going to the end of our fiscal year because we are starting to advertise for fall term during the current fiscal year. So we have about $30,000 more dollars that we have to attack and make adjustments to our advertising. So I hope you agree that we have made progress. We've done what we said we would do, but we are not done. We are ready for transformation. So what we have done is engaged Tramika Benjamin from Orange Theory. She's working with us right now. She has worked with NASCAR. She has worked with SeaWorld. She has worked in healthcare. She is reviewing our marketing strategies. She is a digital marketing expert. She is meeting with many internal stakeholders, and she is going to be preparing recommendations for us that we should get within the next 10 days to 2 weeks. We are not sitting still. Again, in collaboration with Institutional Effectiveness and Enrollment Management and Marketing, that's kind of our triad of our marketing committee. We are planning in 2013 to divert some of our money from some of the more traditional media. One of those movie theaters, we spent some time talking about that at prior board meetings. And moving that about $60,000 to other things that we think can be more effective, digital, grassroots campaigns. And when I say digital, I mean more digital. We are doing things digitally, but we have not saturated that market. We are continuing to transition to more calls to action. You might recall we talked about more year-round branding and awareness last year. Well, what we want to do is infuse more calls to action within that, not just enroll now. Call us, go online, visit a campus, do other things. So there's constantly encouragement for potential students to engage with us. In partnership with Enrollment Management under Dr. Pat Renard, we also want to target the Hispanic and other minority markets. And then the next item here is what we're spending a lot of time talking to Tramika about. We've been talking about this for quite a while, and it's really where the rubber is going to meet the road on making our digital marketing effective, and that is with a customer relationship management system. So a CRM is what takes people along the continuum from prospect to applicant to student to completer. It will take us from being advertisers to being marketers. So a good example of a CRM is Amazon. Most of us have gone on to Amazon, and Amazon will tell you, people who bought this bought that. If you bought this, you might like that. That is a CRM at work. So a robust CRM for us consolidates all the information from touch points with potential students and current students. It can create personalized web pages to prospective students. It allows students to tell us how they want to be communicated with. For instance, I get electronic newsletters, and it asks me what articles or what topics do you want to hear about, and I click and I tell them, and I don't get the other stuff. That's what a CRM can help us do with the students and potential students. It triggers automated communications based on students' behavior, based on their clicks and their views. So in other words, we don't have to have staff analyze look at the analytics to decide that Terry Brett needs to be sent information about this. The CRM intuits that and does it for us. A robust CRM, of course, takes time, takes work to put together. So we expect about 6 to 9 months of R&D, but we are very excited about the prospect of adding that to our digital marketing strategy. As for texting and emailing, yes, we are doing it. Again, we could be doing a lot more differently and better with the CRM. Something that we are not waiting on is the live online chats with potential students. As you might know, we have recruiters in enrollment management, and Dr. Renard and his staff are looking at doing more in this area. Retention marketing is as important as recruitment marketing. So as we continue with the college experience, we will continue to partner internally with those who are most involved with the student experience and with the retention of students. We will continue to collaborate across the college with our colleagues to protect and strengthen our brand message. So very soon we will have a refined digital marketing plan. We will then be able to advertise for a new Director of Marketing and Public Information, and we will always be evolving. Questions?
I had one question about, do we have any stats on other schools, just benchmarking? I mean, whether it's Facebook, Twitter followers, or things like that? I mean, what should be a reasonable expectation for a school that has 33,000 students?
Stand up. Lisa Fisher is coming up here. She came to us from the Gainesville Sun. If you're familiar with the New York Times Company, they've made social media a very high priority, and she is one of the ones who established what they do up there. Go ahead, Lisa.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. You were talking about benchmarks, and pretty much one of the benchmarks that I've been looking at is looking at Santa Fe Community College, which would be that's a college that's located in Alachua County. So, and it works in conjunction a lot with the University of Florida. Just to give you kind of a rough idea of their numbers, right now, they really don't have a LinkedIn presence, which you all do. We are slightly behind them on followers, probably about 200 on Facebook. And I consider that not bad, considering you guys started about 2,000 under them last June. So you've already caught up pretty close to them. So I've been trying to attach some of those as benchmarks. There have been some changes with algorithms and things on some of these areas, but basically what I'm trying to make sure that you're doing is where we didn't have a consistent presence on some of the major platforms that existed in social media, that we get a good lock-in on some of these areas and figures, and then that we continue to increase. Right now, I feel we're at the point where we have a good confirmed presence on the major platforms, and now we're going to be trying to move ahead to get those numbers, frankly, higher than Santa Fe.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Brett?
Yeah, it appears to me, not knowing anything about marketing, that the category of the social networking is very easy to measure your success. And the other areas, I'm looking at the pie chart where we're spending, in the social marketing, I assume would fall under the internet slice of the pie. Is that right? The budget?
Let's go back to the budget stuff.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
that is correct.
thank you.
Yes.
And so how can you measure the rest of the pie? How do you measure radio, outdoor, theaters, TV, and what can you say about our progress from last year at this time in those other areas?
One of the challenges that we have, that all mass or marketers and advertisers have, is a lot of what we're measuring is anonymous. So we can tell you, based on our buys, how many people in our target market heard our radio ad, how many people saw our billboard, how many people saw the TV ad, how many people clicked through to something online, clicked on one of our ads out there. What's missing, of course, is putting a face, making those no longer anonymous. So, and that's the next plateau, really, in advertising and marketing. So we can measure. We have a lot better success. I talked about some of those niche markets, the low-hanging fruit, because we know who they are to start with. We have a better idea about the return. So in a lot of those markets, for instance, what we're doing is either our offices or the programs themselves, the Veterans Services offices, for instance, are actually calling those people. We're direct mailing them. We're inviting them to campus events. We have our recruiters going to lower division classes to talk about upper division opportunities. So in areas where we can actually identify the people, we track them as well as we can. But there's the rub as far as TV, radio, billboards. We have tried having specific URLs for people to go to that they can track if they go online, and we know that they got that URL from a specific ad. But what we believe is a lot of people actually find us by Googling or just by, intuiting spc.edu or something like that. So again, this is what we hope eventually a CRM could help us with better tracking as, frankly, we move away from some of the things that we can't measure and invest, and that's what we're hoping that Trumika Benjamin will help us identify.
And that's kind of where I'm headed. I mean, we've all heard for years now in business and industry, education, that the social networking, social marketing slice of the pie is where it's at, and we kind of got a small number in that pie right now. And so, again, not knowing much about marketing, I would like to see maybe a few more dollars shoved into that category, because it seems to be where it's at.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I think you see the framework here. As we've been through this, we know, you've seen our business intelligence, we know more about our students than any school I'm aware of. So we're in the A+ category in who's here, what do we know, boys, girls, old, young, black, white, that sort of stuff. That part we've got. The 5x180 plan is how do students get moved through us, and we're getting very good. We're in the B+ category there. We understand with increasing sophistication how students move through us, and that part I'm comfortable with. How we communicate with our students, we're not in the same, we don't have that strategy anywhere near as we do the other two. So we are working. Trumika Benjamin is someone I know from the past. You're right, Mr. Brett. They can tell you metrics from almost anything. NASCAR, SeaWorld has, not just SeaWorld, it has Kia, It has several food brands that go with it, everything else. They can tell you what the cross-pollination of those things are. When somebody buys an online stuffed animal that has a SeaWorld thing, bang, it makes the connections. We have no concept of any of that yet, okay? And we're working to develop that. We've had 2 wide staff development exercises for the senior leadership to get us in. Let me fess up. I know nothing about any of this. Of everything I do as a president, this is the part I know the least about. My New Year's resolution is to know the most about it. So we're working through. It's not like we're ignoring it, but we've got a ways to go. On our good days, I'll be generous, a C or a C plus. We need to get in the B plus A category really fast, and we can get there.
Great.
And the last piece is, I don't think we have to spend $1 zillion to do it. I think we have to repurpose some of what we're doing. We have to know what we want to do, and that's, as we unroll this year's budget, we'll come back to you with the refined strategy. We're right in the middle of it right now. But you'll watch it in front of your eyes over the next few months, and then you can help sharpen us with those kinds of questions. We need the metrics. We need those sorts of things. So that's where we are. We can't just keep doing email. My inbox is completely stuffed.
Questions?
I have one question about this, and again, I'll preface this by saying that I'm in no way a marketing expert, and I'm kind of like Dr. Law. I dabble in social media, but I would not consider myself an expert user. But seems to me, and it may have been in here somewhere, but it seems to me that if we're trying to understand how to get to the student, to reach the student, that the students need to somehow be involved in that exercise. And I'm not sure I saw that in here. Maybe it's in here. I see a partnership with Student Affairs as a reference to that. But I know there's got to be a number of different student groups, whether they're minority, Hispanic, whatever groups there are, that in some of my previous work, doing things like focus groups and talking with the students about what reaches them and what doesn't, what's valuable, what's not, may kind of help us kind of understand where some of that money needs to go. So that's kind of a question and a comment, I guess.
Yes, I think we need to continually do that. We had Claris Corporation about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, came in and did that for us. The landscape has changed in 1.5 years or 2 years.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. It's continually changing, and I think that's the thing that needs to probably be refreshed, maybe more than some of the other stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
We need a motion for the discontinuation of the PALS program. You want to speak on that, sir?
The memorandum is
Very
pretty
straightforward.
straightforward. This is a program where we have given it our best shot. It's not like we don't value this work, but when you're down into the single-digit impact, we really have to repurpose the resources elsewhere. So this has been a while coming.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Presentation from the public, sir. Nothing? President's report.
I have a handful of matters, if you would. First, I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but I received word yesterday that our very own Dr. Tanja Williams is a finalist for one of the iconic women in St. Petersburg.
Go on Facebook and like her.
Yeah, I was going to say, she is iconic. There is no doubt about that. So we're very proud of that. I want to very briefly go through legislative matters. Laura, have we handed the worksheets? In the front of the book, first of all, we were in Tallahassee 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago with the trustees. In the front of your book, we put together, oh, I have them, okay. I put together one-page summaries of the 4 or 5 key areas that are in front of us legislatively. So you see developmental education, dual enrollment, workforce-related issues, online learning, and funding. There'll be plenty of other things, but those are the 5 areas of the major focus right now. So we've tried to give you thumbnail sketches of how those issues are emerging for us. The developmental education is increasingly problematic. The Senate leadership is proposing, I rarely use the term drastic, but they are proposing drastic reductions in just providing developmental education for students, and I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work out. It's literally up, I think, in the next couple of weeks. We have, of course, a great deal of developmental education. While we're seeing improvements, demonstrable improvements from recent high school grads, the fact is, as more and more people are coming back to us from the workplace, not a big surprise, we're finding people who need help to get back to college-level coursework. So you see that in folding. Dual enrollment, we'll schedule a separate meeting with you. We're working very closely with the school district, and I think we had a great presentation back in December on dual enrollment, but we have probably reached the limit of how much we can continue to support. We can't keep growing it at the level we're growing. I think if you recall, we increased our commitment by some $300,000 last year in a budget that was shrinking. It continues to be one of the strongest public policy pieces we have, but nobody seems interested in paying for it except us, and I'm not sure how much we do. We already do a very credible level of it, but to try to keep barging forward on that seems to me to be highly problematic. So working closely with the school district to see how that works. We have indication that we could be getting some relief on that, so some of my dialogues was in that. Let me talk to you, and then workforce, I want to talk about the funding issue just so that we don't mislead ourselves. The governor did 2 or 3 things. One, he put a good deal of money into some workforce initiatives, and we'll qualify well with those. He put money into performance funding, and he's listed a couple of factors for performance: speed to degree, number of graduates. In fact, he wants us to start monitoring graduate placement in the job market. All of those, we're going to be all right. We do pretty well in those. Over time, as the funding for the college system has been declining, colleges have been growing, and we've seen that here. We've grown about 30% over the last 3 or 4 years with essentially the same state dollars in the mix between, don't get confused between lottery and other. I mean, the state support has been the same, the number of students has grown. We've handled that by some tuition increases and some additional students. So the system grew by 29% over 3 years. We grew by 30%, so we're right at the system average. There are colleges that grew 60% over this period of time. So the dollars per student from the state have gotten very diluted in that. That is, you kept your state dollars, just more students came. We wake up one day and the amount of state support per student is vastly different across the colleges, in the low 20% differential. The movement is to get that into a much narrower range. It'll never be exactly the same everywhere, but to get into a much narrower range. The governor, to his credit, bought the argument. You see me smile. This governor, when he does something, he doesn't do it by half. So he proposed fixing the problem in 1 year, which means most of the new money would go to the schools who grew the fastest. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that process, but it really doesn't leave much for the rest of us. I suspect then that we're going to come out slightly on the positive side. I think we'll be working to say, can we take this in 2 or 3 jumps? Because if we do it that way, there'll be more money for everybody this year as we move forward. So the funding gets complex in a hurry. There's money to come. I don't think the governor's position can maintain, but the good news is he did recognize that we have to fix that problem. It is unfair for colleges that grew twice as fast as we did to have essentially no state support behind that. That there is an element. I'd be arguing very loudly if I was one of those colleges. So stay tuned on the funding piece. It's not great news for us as we sit here today, but we have certainly lived through worse news than all of that. I do want to, if I can move us, you have the worksheets on what those issues are. We'll try to do a good job. It's starting to pick up speed. I mean, every day I get a report from Ed Woodruff, and we'll try to keep you informed as your interest might be. We have, with the emergence of Representative Kathleen Peters from what was she, Pasadena or South St. Pete? South Pasadena. And the fantastic program that we have here in orthotics and prosthetics, we have been working a quiet initiative to put some more resources into that program, to expand it, to expand both the nature of the jobs that people can get from that, add some certificates at the front end, expand the numbers, make different relationships with other providers, and it's a worthwhile project. It's got a little more life to it than I thought. I mean, we are kind of on our own doing this, but it's a very worthwhile project, and we've gotten some very good feedback. We're asking for about $600,000 for the next couple of years to expand the orthotics and prosthetics program here, and going into the session, I would rate us a little bit above 50% rather than a little bit below 50%. We have had the chairman of the Education Appropriations Committee visit with us. We have had our local delegation has been part of it. I have met with some other of the key legislative funding leaders. So it's a worth thing. We think that we have one of the unique programs. There's only a handful in the whole United States. This one is prospering as it was. We've made a huge commitment to it, so our footprint is already quite big in this one if you visit the labs that we have and all of that. We have partnerships with Florida State University. USF wants to be part of the partnership. We think there's some destination medicine. The sad reality is with both veterans who need prosthetic devices, and of course with diabetes being one of the endemic diseases that we're battling in America, the nature of this field is a good deal of growth. So we're working with it. If you hear something, we are running it on our own though, and that's much in line with the way this college has done its business at times past, I think, is to find an area and run hard toward the open ground and see whose horse runs fastest to the finish line. So,
is Representative Peters leading that effort?
yes, Representative Peters is doing a spectacular job opening all the doors. We had Senator Latvala here last week to help us with some visitors that we had taking a look at the facility. Phil, I guess we had 12 or 15 people in the room here last week, different groups. Enterprise Florida is working with us. We think there are several pots of money this can come from. It's a wonderful STEM initiative. It's a workforce initiative. It's a healthcare initiative. And it's a sort of a center of excellence kind of proposal. So we're having fun. I've been pleased with how that is running. If you hear, we have a little brochure that I'll send out to you. I didn't want to send it cold because I hadn't really teed it up for you, but it's going to be on the table when they start the funding.
1 year thing?
We're going to ask for the $600,000 all in 1 year. We may have to trim our sails a little bit, but we're not trimming them yet. So we'll see how that works, okay? I did want to mention to you that we are at the final stages. We will be bringing you next month the final recommendations. As you know, we did the classification review. We did a faculty study the first year. We spent a year aligning the classified staff. We've now concluded the administrative and professional. We're down to the communication and final determinations on that. The study looks to me to be very, very credible. A small number of adjustments, moving people aligned up and down a little bit, but we'll spend something under 1% of our total budget to make adjustments for people who move to new minimums or those kinds of things. So we'll give you the full range, but that process is essentially finished now. We're down to the communication and nailing down all of the details. And then just some schedule matters. I sent you a little note last week. We had the first budget workshop here online. I unfortunately had to be out of town, but I watched the entire thing. Really strong focus on continuing student support. My staff has many attributes. Asking for money is one that they're getting better at. They have, as I said, the productivity went up. They asked for more money in shorter time, so they're doing well. It was a very good budget workshop, and all of that is collected for you. Just want to give you a heads up. We're on spring break starting the first week in March, and we have nailed down, Tanja, bail me out here, graduation is?
It's on Saturday, May 4th.
Saturday, May 4th. We'll give you the details on that. Those who've been here a little while know that we're at the considerable mercy of the Tampa Bay Rays as to when they can make the stadium available to us. And we've done it weekend, we do it weekday, weekend, weekday. We're back to Saturday. We've got it nailed down for this year, and thus will it always be. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, those are the items I just wanted to make sure. I'm happy to answer your questions.
How many graduating projected?
We'll have probably just under 1,000 walk across the stage. Just by the numbers, we give 3,400 associate degrees a year. Last year, I think we graduated 970 something. Was it right at 1,000, Tanja? It's 2 hours of marching folks as rapidly as we can. Okay, it's a good ceremony.
Any future agenda items, board members? Make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.